NBA Finals, Game 4 tonight. Pacers' formula for success has been getting Tyrese Haliburton to score 20 or more points. They are 8-1 when Haliburton has 20-plus points this season. The Thunder lost Game 3, but they have repeatedly shown that they know how to bounce back. OKC is 17-2 following a loss this season, including the playoffs, tied for the second-best record all time. And despite being down 2-1 in the series, the Thunder are minus 220 favorites still to win the title. That's to keep the Sharps away. More on that in a minute. Fortin Boss sitting here. Also a 5.5-point favorite, Game 4 tonight, according to ESPN Bet Sportsbook. So let's get into this one with our basketball brain trust. I knew that joke was coming. Monica Allen, Fortin Boss. Okay. Plain and simple. Down 2-1, you're on the road, you lose. For the Thunder, the favorite. Is this a must-win for them?
Absolutely. I mean, at this point, I think this series has been so competitive that if they don't win tonight, just do the math. Do you expect them to be able to rattle off 3 consecutive wins versus this Indiana Pacers team? And I do not. And so I expect them to respond. Going into the 2 games at Indiana, I expected these teams to split.
Yeah, this is must-win. It's not technically a must-win, but it has that feel of a must-win. So, like you're looking at this as where this series is going to go and what are the Thunder all about? Because all we saw all season, they were a dominant team that played their way, and they made you turn the ball over. Not them. They didn't turn the ball over. So they've got to clean that up, and they've got to get this win. Otherwise, they're not going to win the championship.
I think we're just starting to see here. We touched on this earlier. Rick Carlisle's been here, done that with the Dallas Mavericks. We got a young coach on the other side. Are we starting to see the Rick Carlisle experience become a huge factor in this series?
I think whoever, if the Pacers win the championship, whoever is named Finals MVP should hand the trophy to Rick Carlisle, because he right now is the real MVP. He has done it throughout the playoffs with the adjustments that he's made from series to series, and also the way he has used his rotation. It's not just heavy on his starters or reliant so much on a star player. We all like to do this whole, what does Haliburton need to do more in this game? It's not about that. It's about what the Pacers do as a group. We have had a hard time buying in for some reason because the NBA is all about stars. But the real star of this team is their head coach. He has been phenomenal. He even made the Thunder change the way they play and change their lineup to match up with them.
Is he out coaching?
Yeah. I mean, he's been doing that through this. Y'all, they weren't supposed to win. The Bucks maybe was the series that they might have been favored in. But they have not been favored in any series since then. And to your point, Han, I think when you look at how the Pacers do it, it is so counterculture to what we're dealing with in the NBA in terms of there's not one guy that is consistently the centerpiece. Now, yes, they look different if Tyrese Haliburton is having a triple-double sort of night. But a triple-double sort of night for him also includes somebody else who's going off for 25-plus, right? And so you could actually then sit and have these debates over who's sort of this key piece for a team that doesn't have finals experience outside of Pascal Siakam. Rick Carlisle is pulling all the right notes at the right times. I mean, you look at a guy like Obi Toppin, who was here in New York, right? Like, he is in a system that is perfect for his skill set. You look at what he's been able to do with his bench. 31 bench points in Game 1. Like, come on.
You can use the bench. He's used it to his advantage. Rick Carlisle has been brilliant in this series. So when you break it all down, Fortin Ball, getting into tonight's Game 4, give me your best bet and why.
I think what you want to do is look at the adjustments the coaching staffs will make and then take advantage of that. Tyrese Haliburton under 8.5 assists. Now, people will think that's a crazy bet because we just saw him drop 11 in Game 3. We're playing pricing here. Game 1, 6 assists. Game 2, 6 assists. So what happens? Bookmakers move the prop from 8.5 down to 7.5. Haliburton goes off at home. Then, as a result, bookmakers think we got to bump this thing back up. We want to buy low here. Indiana shot 51% from the floor in Game 3. Not only was that their best shooting performance of the entire series, it was the second best shooting performance anyone had put on OKC in 19 games this postseason. When those numbers drop, the assists will drop, and I think Lou Dort's going to have a much better time tonight against Haliburton.
Like the first 2 games, Siakam shot 4 of 13 off passes from Haliburton. That is not normal. The more normal was what happened in Game 3, where they were making their shots off those passes. So that is certainly something to watch because defense will affect his assist total.
Indiana got the coveted road split in Oklahoma City. Oklahoma City looking to do the same tonight. Give me your pick and why, Monica.
I got OKC. I think they respond. Like I said, going into the 2 in Indiana, I thought this would be split. But I also look at the 19 points or the 19 turnovers that were 21 points for the Pacers. When you give the Pacers life in terms of turning the ball over, and I will give their defense credit, I think more of those turnovers were forced by their defensive intensity as opposed to the Thunder just not being having their heads in the right place. But you got to control that number. You cannot spot the Pacers 21 points.
when it comes to the Pacers.
I mean, you're picking Oklahoma City as well.
Yeah, I'm picking the Thunder here, and what I need to see from the Oklahoma City Thunder is more of a football mentality because they let their star player, SGA, get picked up 65 feet on average from the basket, something that Monica and I saw a ton of in the Eastern Conference Finals. Did the same exact thing to Jalen Brunson.
Sure did.
They did the same thing to Darius Garland as well in the Cavs series. It's what they do. You had to know this was coming. And Isaiah Hartenstein sets big, tough screens. He played 18 minutes. I need him to play more.
The best screener he's ever had.
I need him to play more,
Yeah.
and he's got to play more. But I need him setting screens a little further down and getting these dogs off him. They don't have one guy guarding him. Yeah. They've got 3 to 4. They've got McConnell. They've got Shepard. They've got, obviously, Nembhard's done the most of it. Nesmith. They're throwing all kinds of guys at you.
Yeah.
But the problem is that they can't get tired because you just keep rotating them in and out. Mark Messier knows about this. It's called line changing.
Okay, I see you.
Fresh bodies.
It's constantly sending new bodies out there. They have got to hit these bodies and make it, because it's hard to pick up and play defense for 65 feet. It's even harder if you're running into a brick wall every time.
I would just also add to, Matt, the OKC cannot shrink in the fourth. Like, Chet Holmgren, you can't get blocked by Miles Turner as if you don't see this shot blocker. Like, they cannot shrink in the fourth.
Yeah,
they have to be able to compete on both sides and help SGA.
OKC, you're just going to be a follower and pick OKC.
OKC is going to bum rush him in the first half. All 5 losses this postseason. OKC's outscoring the opposition in the first half by 15 points per game. They're going to crush him in the first half.
How long is the Pacers slander going to continue? 3 Oklahoma City picks.
We need to get these guys therapy.
We'll say it's not. You're right. It's the series in general. Coming up is the Knicks search for a new head coach. Magic Johnson has a warning for their star players, but is he right? Plus, the confident Cowboys, their coach with a powerful prediction. You will hear it. Rule number 1, substitute teacher behavior in effect. I have a great crew around me. Hudson Square Studios, it is intimate, it is tight. That is Fortenbaugh, that is Graziano, that is Bart, that is Mike T. And as we go around the studio, Monica and Alan hanging out over there. That's what's going to get our NBA talk. And last but certainly not least, the legend, Mark Messier.
I love you, Mark.
If you don't keep your behavior, he will check you right into the wall. And I'm hoping that's Fortenbaugh later in the show. More on that coming up.
Easy.
But what a game we had last night between the Panthers and Oilers. Here's where you knew it was going to get wacky.
Say no more.
Up 2-0. Mark, right out of the gate here, when Lundell scores his goal, it's 3-0. You're thinking this thing's over.
Well, you're thinking it's going to be over because Edmonton could not stay out of the penalty box. And, of course, Florida's power play right now is hot as ever. Didn't look good for the Oilers after the first period.
Worth pointing out, home teams in the Stanley Cup, 158-1 when leading by 3+ goals. Here comes the Oilers. They make a change in the goal, probably a good move. Right here, Picard, he comes up huge immediately.
Yeah, this is the save of the game. This actually put Edmonton back on. It's 3-1 at this time. Lundell scores there. It's 4-1. The game is over. Huge save coming in cold. What a performance he came back with.
So later in the game, 3-1, Oilers in the zone. Nurse an incredible shot on Sergei Bobrovsky. Now they're back in it. Now it's 3-2.
Yeah, I didn't like this goal on Bobrovsky. He's been unbelievable the whole playoffs, and certainly in this series here. This was the one over his shoulder he would like to have back.
So under 5 minutes to go, here's where it gets interesting. So now we go and we tie it at 3 apiece.
Yeah, we're thinking that, it's going to go into overtime, and sure enough it does. Nobody would have thought that Edmonton was going to come back in this game, but sure enough, here they are. Going up 4-3.
I mean, you're 3-0 again. We're talking about how it's over 3-2. You minimize the lead. Now we're tied at 3 apiece. 6.5 minutes left. Same score. Oilers force a turnover. Jake Walmer, one-timer.
Well, Wallman. But here's the tying goal late in the game. A classic goal from the Florida Panthers. Heavy on the forecheck. Take it off, and Reinhart, sure enough, makes no mistake.
So Wallman takes the lead. Taylor can't believe it. 25 seconds left. Same score. Panthers an empty net extra attack.
Well, and it's just, for me, Florida is just such a heavy team on the forecheck there, and Bennett's been probably one of the best players, if not the best player in these finals so far. Hits the crossbar, and sure enough,
the long change. Breaking free is Draisaitl to the net. Score! Leon Draisaitl has tied the series in overtime.
That's the Oilers radio call And what a game for the ages in a Stanley Cup final, but that has been nothing short of miraculous. 5-2 for the Oilers. With the win, the Oilers become the second team of the 3-goal comeback win on the road to the Cup final, joining the 1919 Canadiens. Prior to last night, home teams in the Stanley Cup final who had at least 3-goal lead, they were 158-1. So, Mark, there are so many things to unpack in this game, from a game that appeared to be over to a game that got close to a game that ended up being an all-timer in overtime. How did Leon Draisaitl once again pull this off?
What special generational players can do, they can make something out of nothing. This was a harmless play when it first started. He was standing still at the blue line, had no momentum, but he's so big, he's so strong, he's able to ward off the checks. A little bit of gratuitous bounce, but that's what great players seem to get. They seem to get good puck luck. And he's so big and strong, like you can see hold off. I think it's Greer right here with one hand, throws it to net, gets a deflection, goes through Bobrovsky's legs. But this is what great players do. And Edmonton finally gave themselves their great players between Draisaitl and McDavid chances to make a difference in the game by staying out of the penalty box. And when in a close game, Edmonton's got as good a chance as anybody, obviously, with those two players on their side.
And I don't think this is hyperbole at all. Edmonton was dead to rights. This thing was cooked. It could have very easily been a 3-1 series, but they stayed in this. What keyed it? How do you stay in it when you're down so quickly in a game like this to key a comeback?
Very simple. They were able to stay out of the penalty box finally, and they were able to give their players a chance to get back into the game, but on the power play themselves. They scored two huge power play goals. The one on Bobrovsky that Nurse started over his shoulder, I didn't like that goal on Bobrovsky. But they stayed out of the penalty box. They got their rhythm going. They got skating. And anytime the Oilers are in a tight game late in the game, they got the two best players in the game right now.
Yep.
It's going to be a problem for the other team. And sure enough, Draisaitl tonight last night was the one who made the play.
Yeah, I mean, you talk about two of the best players in the game when you talk about the tandem. We'll get into McDavid being goalless later in the show, but this tandem has shown up. He's done what he's had to do, and Draisaitl's picked it up. How good is this tandem when you think big picture in the history of maybe a Stanley Cup final?
Well, I think they're probably the two best players. They're certainly the two best players of their generation right now, and you could stack them up against any great duo that's ever played the game in any era. The skill set, the drive, the determination, the discipline, everything that you'd want in a skilled player on your team. Leadership. They've got a lot of scar tissue on these two players now. They've been through few wars now. They're not young players anymore. They're in the 30s, 10 years into the league. They're hungry for a championship. They're playing like it too. And last night, the team gave them a chance to make a play. And that's what's the most important thing for generational players or the talented players in your team. The team puts those players in position to make great plays. Draisaitl is the one that did it last night.
And it's awesome to see that scar tissue perhaps build up with these two superstars, that maybe they finally had enough of coming in second. This series has been a 10 out of 10. You were a 10 out of 10. Much more coming up this morning.
I don't know about that.
Mark Messier, thank you. The other final series going on the